You are listening to Dear Texas Radio, a program of Dear Texas Read and sponsored by Texas Authors Incorporated. If you would like to ask today's guest author a question, please do so on Twitter using the hashtag Dear Texas Radio. However, not all questions will be answered during the show. Now sit back and enjoy listening to today's show and learn about a Texas author and their books.
Hello, Dear Texas Radio listeners. I am Denise Bryson, your host, and welcome to our show today. Today, our guest is Carolyn McGee, the author of Anna. Hi, Carolyn. How are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I wanted to, before we get into about the book, now where are you from? And give us a little background about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm initially from Houston, Texas, but I live in a little suburb outside of Houston, Texas, called Missouri City, Texas. I've been living out here for about 10 years. I have 5 adult children. I have 6 grandchildren, and I am a retired counselor. And I spend most of my time writing, spending as much time as I can with family, grandchildren, and just living and loving life, basically.
That is exciting. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Now, what brought you to write this book? What is this particular book? We'll talk about that, and then we'll go right into the book. But or maybe let me ask this question first. What started you writing? When did you start writing?
Oh, actually, I want to say in 1990. Through the Children's Institute of Literature. It was an online school and some writing classes that I took, and my professors were really impressed with the things that I wrote about, just taking something as little as a storm cloud and building a story around it. And I just really started liking it, and then people always told me that I was a good writer, that I knew how to compose, I knew how to put words together, and so I just kind of explored it and, got the hang of it and just really got into it.
Oh, that's good. That is good. So now why did you first consider yourself a writer? I know people told you that you wrote well and everything, but did you always feel that writing down on the inside of you burning to come out?
Never. No, never. But I was a reader. I loved to read, especially historical romance novels. They were just my cup of tea. And, and I was just so fascinated by, the wording and, but I was a reader, I was a big reader. Yeah.
That's good. So let's talk about Anna.
Okay.
I was reading through the chapter, and I thought, oh, my goodness. I said, so Anna is it's a psychological thriller. So tell us what made you write this book? What was your push to write it? What was pushing you to write this particular book or this particular style of book?
As I got more into my profession as a psychologist major, I, had the opportunity of not only counseling but interviewing people that, had major life crises and issues and things like that. And there was a particular person that I interviewed, and I was, captured by her story. And then I began to hear similar stories. So I wanted to, make people aware that mental illness, and if you notice, Anna is a black woman. So I just wanted to make people aware that mental illness is just as rampant among the black community as any other community, but oftentimes goes undetected, and when it's undetected, it goes untreated. So I wanted to take this one particular person and, just kind of build a story around the character based on real-life events, from other people. And I guess I should say something about the name Anna, who gets its origin from the Hebrew, which means grace and favor of God. So in the story, Anna is this spiritually gifted person. And at an early age, her grandmother, she discerns this gift especially when Anna, at the age of 6, goes down the aisle in the church and gives her hands to the preacher and says, I want the Lord to come into my life. And so, the grandmother was moved to tears. And so by it being biblically termed as grace in favor of God, I decided to name her Anna because she's a spiritually gifted person.
And then what about, I was looking for their grandmother's name. It was, I read it, and so let me think, what is it? Let me see what it is. But I thought it was interesting how that started out and how it seems like a spiritual journey for her and how gifted she is, but then kind of the dark places that it takes her. And so could you talk a little bit about that? Because mental illness is such, it's something that is really, that we can't ignore it anymore. We have to really begin to address these issues because it's happening in our young kids and on up. Yeah.
Right.
Could you talk something about
grandmother's
that?
name, I'm going to give you the grandmother's name first. The grandmother's name is Virgie.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Grandmother Virgie. And actually she calls her Mama because she actually raised her and her 2 sisters. So, so it starts out at an early age with her. She has these nightmares, and the grandmother notices, her behavior in the night, and the grandmother is able to sense that there is some type of demonic spirit that is, tormenting her in her sleep. So the grandmother, begins to sleep in the room with her and, try to, ward off the demons or the demonic activity. But it starts at an early age. But it doesn't just start, right there. Something else brings it on as well, and I don't really want to divulge that information.
Right, yeah, don't tell that. I know what it is, but don't tell it.
Yeah.
You got to get the book. You have to get the book. It's a good book. From what I've read, it's going to be really good, and you want to get it so you can see what happens all through the whole story. And so with that being said, when I was talking about mental illness, what are some of the things, you being a counselor, that you feel that is going on in our country today, even with, things that are going on, like I said, even in some of the smaller children, all the medication that they have our children on and things like that, and kind of how that particular part of your career has prompted you to write such a book like this, I guess.
Well, the medications and all of the treatment aspects, they are very necessary.
Yes.
Very necessary, because it's one way that has been proven to treat mental illness. And so it also helps people to, by being treated. And it's just not medication. It could be psychotherapy, or as we know it as therapy, which, that can be several type of treatment techniques. So, but, yes, it is several ways to treat the disease, and medication and the therapy and all of that is very necessary if the individual desires to live a full and productive life.
That's good. So with this particular book, what message are you sending out, to support mental health, mental illness, and things like that? What is your message with this book that you feel like it can help others?
Okay, well, actually, Anna was supposed to be, just as it says, a psychological thriller. But I found and many stories of mental illness are told on different levels. And so with my creativity and my imagination, Anna became an unusual psychological thriller for good reading purposes, if I could put it that way.
Yeah.
But it also demonstrates real challenges of dealing with someone who suffers from the illness. So the book is written from a psychological perspective, also entwined with paranormal activity that you often find in most severe cases. A person may have a tendency to see, hear, experience things that are not really there. So that is the thrill of writing this book. But the psychological part of writing the book is to help families to be made aware of signs and symptoms so that they're able to detect the disease, so that the disease can be properly and timely treated, in a sense of the way. So that's where I get the psychological thriller from, but it was actually written for good reading purposes, but I found myself putting all this other stuff in there. I said, well, let me just talk about mental illness and how families can reach out to loved ones, through Anna as she encounters this journey of the disease unknowingly, and, drop some tips and hints for families to, see how to detect the disease, and then, they can reach out to their loved ones in a timely manner.
And I also think that, with this book, too, and with her being an African-American character, that it also, we're the first ones, and we don't want to go to counseling. We don't do, those kind of things. But this even opens up a avenue to say, it's okay for you to go to counseling. If a person of color, you don't have to shy away from it thinking it's not necessary. Mm-hmm. It is necessary if you need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right,
so I
absolutely.
think that's something that it's a message that it's sending as well, because that's something that we don't do. And I know even myself, I work, I actually am a chaplain for several mental hospitals here in the Dallas area, and so I get to deal with it a little bit, not from a counseling perspective, but just from a spiritual enrichment perspective.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so, also in writing about Anna, she, and then let me just say this part. In our black communities, mental illness, goes unnoticed. Sometimes, you have kids, let's just say with kids, they act up, they act out, and the parents, because they are unlearned and uneducated, they don't know how to respond to the behavior that the child is demonstrating. So they quickly want to say, and then it depends a lot on the upbringing, of the surroundings and the areas, because a lot of our children, our black children, they grow up in low, impoverished areas, and so the parents, they are uneducated and they don't know how to go about, discerning what is wrong with their child. So they'll quickly say that, boy, you're crazy, or, girl, go sit down somewhere. And the child really actually has a problem, And so because they are unlearned or uneducated, they're unable to, see that.
Exactly. And we're going to get right. We're going to break, and we're going to take a short break, and we will be back from hear a word. We're going to go and take a short break and hear a word from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back.
Okay.
Living under a theocracy is tough enough, but out of nowhere, a secret mission threatens everything in a common soldier's life. Now Salvik must do all he can to protect his people and the woman he loves. The Gray Blade by Aaron Ward is the first in the God Swords series, available at your favorite bookstore or at books.txauthors.com. Longtime developmental editor Susan Malone fosters writers' innate talents to help them become successfully published authors. Over 50 Malone-edited books have sold to traditional publishers. Her authors' books win major literary awards, reach the bestsellers list, and become films. She offers in-depth, personalized editing and coaching to turn your manuscript into a successful published book. To learn more about Susan Malone's services, please visit maloneeditorial.com.
Love to read? Love to meet authors in person? Then check out bookfestival.network to find a book festival in your region of Texas. We are adding book festival events throughout the year, so sign up to get notices and even a coupon towards purchase of a Texas author's book. Sign up at bookfestival.network. Texas Authors is accepting entries into their 6th annual book contest. Go to books.txauthors.com and sign up. Contest is valid for Texas authors only and is open to anyone 18 years of age and older who published a book during the 2017 calendar year. Enter at books.txauthors.com today. Attention students in grades 6 through 12. Do you love to write? Texas Authors Institute of History is kicking off its first statewide short story contest for students. It's free to enter and a great way to begin your career in writing. Sign up at shortstory.texasauthors.institute for complete rules. Again, to enter, go to shortstory.texasauthors.institute. You can win cash prizes and an opportunity to be published. Hello, Texas authors. My name is Randy James, coming to you from my Carrollton recording studio, where I spend time writing and producing commercials for my radio endorsement clients, as well as my private freelance clients. I'd like the opportunity to help you sell more books with a commercial like this and get listeners of Dear Texas Radio excited about your title, all at a special introductory price, available to members of the Texas Association of Authors. Call or text 214-762-1942. That's 214-762-1942.
Do you love to read great new ebooks? Visit EBG247.com. Be the first to discover the next bestseller. At EBG247, we have the web's largest selection of great new book reads, from that amazing new fiction or nonfiction to horror, romance, and fantasy. We even have today's best children's books. That's EBG247.com. New books arrive daily, and all ebooks start at just 99 cents. If you love to read, then you'll love EBG247.com. Low prices, large selection, and an easy-to-use website. It's all only at EBG247.com.
You are listening to Dear Texas Radio, a program of Dear Texas Read, and sponsored by Texas Authors Incorporated. If you would like to ask today's guest author a question, please do so on Twitter using the hashtag Dear Texas Radio. However, not all questions will be answered during the show. Now sit back and enjoy listening to today's show and learn about a Texas author and their books.
Hello, Dear Texas Radio. We are back. We're back with the author Carolyn McGee, and we have been talking about her book Anna and the mental health community and how important it is for us to recognize the mental health, and especially in the African American community, for us to be more able to detect things a little more and not be as standoffish about it, I will say that way, and act like it's not happening when it is. But this is going to be a good book for you to read if you want to know more about it and be able to dig into something that is there for you to read and see the psychological journey that Anna is going on and the paranormal things that are going on in her life and how that all comes about. This is going to be a good book for you to get to read. I'm telling you, it's very interesting. I've read the first chapter of it, and I'm telling you, I want to read more. So you're going to want to go get the book by Carolyn McGee, and the book is called Anna. It is available on Amazon. And so now, Carolyn, what is your next project coming up?
Well, I have a project in the works, and it's titled Queen. Mm-hmm. Again, this is a black woman. Queen, and how she ends up with the name Queen, it was her original name given to her at birth, but as she evolved into a young woman, other people took it as meaning something else, and I don't want to divulge that information. But right. Queen is a story of a black woman who encounters many tragedies, even in her upbringing. She went through things, I want to say, was molested as a child. And, she just went through all types of tragedies, just from a child. And as she evolved into a young woman, she met some guy that, he was a drug dealer, and she had a baby for him, and the baby was killed in a fire, and it just goes on and on and on. And so what happens is that Queen, she raises up from all of that, and she takes the initiative, and she becomes her own woman, and she becomes the strongest and most fearful black woman in her community. So I'm going to leave it right there. You got to get the book when it's done to read more. Yeah.
And when do you anticipate that release of that of Queen?
Probably by next year.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say at the end of 2018. Yeah, but it's in the works. I promise.
In the works. Now, let me ask this question. I like to ask authors this question: Does the character begin to drive the book for you? Is that what? Or are you hearing these characters begin to have a voice, and that's how you begin to write about certain characters? I hear so many authors say that, and I think that's such an interesting.
Oh, yes, absolutely, absolutely. The character. Once the character is birthed, then you again you use that author imagination and creativity, and you build a story around that character. And so and after maybe the first chapter or so, for me, the character just like takes over. They tell me what to write. They tell me what they're experiencing. They tell me what they're feeling. And it's kind of like a catharsis for me as well, because I'm putting some of my own emotions, some of my own feelings and things in there. So, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I hear so many authors say that. They say, the character begins to talk and speak. I have a good friend, they're talking to me. I don't want to do that right now. And I get so funny. So funny.
And then sometimes they will, cause you to move ahead of yourself, because when it starts flowing, it flows. Believe me. It just flows, and it naturally flows. So, yeah, absolutely.
So now, how did you when you what is what is it? And so, what is the inspiration behind Queen? Even what is your inspiration or the message that you want to send out when that particular book begins to come out? It's just how she rose up from what she was going through to be strong, and how you can rise again? Is that what?
Well, if you want to put it that way, but actually that's part of it. But actually she encounters something that she has never, ever had to deal with in her life. Oh, wow. And she has to pay a price. And so actually she, after she pays the price, then that's when she makes a comeback. And she no longer wants to live the life that she was living. And she changes her whole life around. And she starts reaching out and helping in the community and, demonstrating to others how, she made it through what she made it through. And that if they're going through something similar, if she can make it through it, you can make it through it as well. So, if you want to put it like that, that's a good way to put it. So, she rises in the beginning from something tragic that happened to her, but then something more devastating happens to her that she has to pay a pretty penalty for.
Wow.
So her
so
comeback, her comeback is so awesome, and it's not when she came back, but it's how she came back. So that's a message I would like to convey in that writing.
Now, also, just quickly, would you touch on some of your community work that you do as far as even helping people with different issues as a counselor in your community? Could you touch on that as well?
Sure. One of the things that I do is I travel extensively to the penal systems, and I assist those who are getting ready for reentry back into society. And so we kind of me and a couple of the ladies, we kind of prep them and, make sure they have what they need, if they need substance abuse counseling and just even volunteering, with people that have issues with drugs and making referrals and, making sure that they get the help that they need. Also working with the homeless. We have a lot of homeless on the street who are prone to substance abuse, and I just do a variety of things, and I believe in giving back to the community. So those are just a few of the things that I do, and I also too like to encourage people, with words, if I can put it like that, to just help build people up, where they're feeling lack and point them in a direction other than the direction they have been going, and overall just helping them understand and know that they too can win in life, and that they don't have to live the life that they're living, that their lives can be better and far greater than what it is. So that is one of my ultimate goals, is to help others know that they too can win in life as well.
That's awesome. So do you consider this, and really your writing as an extension of your practice that you want, and we're going to get ready to go in just a few minutes, but I wanted to ask that question about that. And then after you answer that question, could you tell us where they could buy your book and how we can reach you on social media and things like that?
Sure. Well, actually, my writing, I'm not using it as an extension of my profession. I'm actually doing it for fun.
Okay,
but
good. That's
the thing is that I like to be 100 with people, keep it real, and just let people know what's going on in our society. And what I write, I like to write about things that are based on actual stories. So I wouldn't say it's an extension of my profession, but it's just something I enjoy doing. And, of course, you can find Anna. You can download Anna from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the major book outlets. You can even download it from Google Play, Apple iBooks, and anywhere that, majorly sell books.
Okay.
So,
now, is your book on Texas authors so far?
Yes, it's on Texas authors as well.
Mhm.
And
so we'll make sure we want to make sure that everybody has. Now, where are you at? Are you on Facebook, Twitter? We're getting ready to wrap up.
You can catch me on Twitter at C. McGee, Carolyns. I forgot my Twitter handle. But you can also find me on Facebook. Just look under Carolyn McGee. I'm on Facebook. And I don't have a website yet, but you can definitely find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter, and you can find me on Facebook.
Well, thank you so much, Carolyn. It has really been a pleasure getting to talk to you about Anna and the book you have coming up, and all your projects and your community work you do. I'm thankful, so glad I got the opportunity to talk to you. And we encourage our listeners to support our authors by purchasing their books and enjoying the journey it will take you on. Get Anna, because it's going to be a good read for you. Anyway, have a good night, and this has been Dear Texas Radio, and we encourage all of Texas to drop everything and read. We have been interviewing Carolyn McGee.
Thank you for listening to Dear Texas Radio, where we encourage everyone to drop everything and read a great book by a Texas author. More information about this show or any of our shows from the past years can be found at radio.deartexas.info. That's radio.deartexas.info. I'm Randy James, your announcer for Dear Texas Radio.